Hello. Thank you for being here with me this morning. My name is Dr. Kirstey Holland, and we are going to discuss all things perimenopause. I'll just give you a moment to come online. I'll check my comments. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this too. Thank you so much for being here. Please feel free to send me a DM. Please feel free to send me a question. We've got Instagram Live. We've also got Facebook Live. We've got YouTube. So we are going to discuss all things perimenopause today. So if you're over the age of 35, you might want to stick around. I have a couple of tips and tricks for you. All right. So beautiful. All right. I'll introduce myself again for those of you that don't know me. My name is Dr. Kirstey Holland. I'm the founder and principal practitioner of the Holland Clinic in Melbourne, Australia. I'm in my third decade of clinical practice, and I specialise in women's health. And most importantly, I treat women over the age of 35. Over the age of 35, you may be perimenopausal and your signs and symptoms may be indicating so, but you may not necessarily be receiving the care that you need. Now, according to an incredible professor, Geraldine Pryor, she says that if you're over the age of 35 and you have at least 3 of these 9 symptoms, you could be perimenopausal, and they are as follows. Number 1, one of the first symptoms to show that you may be perimenopausal is you have weight gain without changes in exercise or eating. Now, this is a really interesting one, and this is one that lots of women come to me to talk about. Number 2 is a new increased mood swings. So, you might be like, whoa, I'm just really losing my cool a little more than usual. I talk about this being the mum aggro or the relationship aggro. New, sore, swollen or lumpy breasts, so more so. Your breasts are more swollen, they're lumpier, and it's a new soreness. It's not the same lumpy breasts that you've had in the past. You've got a shorter cycle. So instead of your cycle being a 28 or a 29-day cycle, suddenly you're having 24, 25, 21-day cycles. You wake during the night. Now, this is the debilitating piece of perimenopause, this waking during the night. And we're going to discuss what you can do about it and why it's happening. Heavy or longer periods. Now, the heavy or longer periods in perimenopause can be due to that estrogen excess presentation that can happen in perimenopause too, because I'm here to tell you that there's never been a time in your life where you have been more inflamed with less energy. Number 7, shorter cycle lengths. Oh, have I said that? Shorter cycle lengths, 25 days or less. Yes, I've said that. So it must be number 8, increased cramping or pain with your period. There's also an increase in migraines. That's the other one. I've doubled up there on a shorter cycle length. So it's an increase in migraines. It's an increase in cramping or pain with your period. So that's something that I certainly noticed as I started to come into perimenopause. I'd never actually experienced period pain before. And boy, oh boy, did perimenopause bring it home for me. In traditional Chinese medicine, they talk about that being liver qi stagnation. And they often say that if you're potentially, well, you know what? Your period is really your 5th vital sign, right? So you've got to think about the month prior to the period that you're having now and how that's impacted on your period. So when you have more stagnation, more anger, more frustration, more stress, that can create a more intense, painful period too. And so can endometriosis. It is endometriosis month. So if you suffer from endometriosis or you know anybody that does, I am going to be talking about endometriosis towards the end of this beautiful live call. I've got some great information as to what it is that you need to treat and in what order and how, so that you can relieve yourself from this debilitating condition. So we've got the increased cramping or pain with your period and then the night sweats. So if you have 3 of any of these 9 signs or symptoms and you're over the age of 35, and all other potential causes have been ruled out, then welcome to perimenopause. You're in good company. Excellent. So, acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land on which we work and play, and acknowledge their ancestors past and present, yours and mine. So why do we focus on women in their 40s and 50s? Well, this is such a crazy time. People often ask me what I do, and this is what I do. Puberty, when a young woman starts to, get those hormones coming in and she's a little all over the place and she's a bit roller coastery and she's a bit moody and she doesn't quite know what to do or how to do it, and she feels uncomfortable in her own skin, and she can potentially be a little bit uncomfortable to be around. Well, unfortunately, we not only have puberty, but we also have a second puberty, and that is perimenopause. So perimenopause is your second puberty. It comes after your fertile years, and it can start anywhere after the age of 35. You can start to feel just NQR. Some women describe that they just feel NQR. They just don't feel quite themselves. They just don't feel right. Other women say, you know, I just can't be bothered. Like, I just got this, like, you know, just can't be bothered. Like this true apathy, like just whatever. Like, can't be bothered cooking, can't be bothered cleaning the house, can't be bothered putting on makeup, can't be bothered getting out of my trackies. You know, we all might have fallen into that trap during COVID. But if you find that you're still stuck there, your hormones may be impacting the way you feel, right? So don't forget that perimenopause is also, it's a neuro, so this is brain, it's a neuroendocrine, hormonal, immune system transition. So Dr. Laura Brydon, who wrote the beautiful repair manual, talks about perimenopause being this incredible transition. It's a recalibration for our brains, right? So we need to transition carefully and appropriately. And basically what she talks about is that if there was ever a time in your life where you were going to take care of yourself, please may it be now. In clinical practice, unfortunately, women who continue to push at work, who continue to stress themselves out, who don't take care of the basics like an anti-inflammatory diet, sleep, nervous system support, gut support, circadian rhythm support, hormonal support, often experience an awful time in menopause and beyond. Although menopause should be so menopause is officially 12 months and 1 day after you no longer have a menstrual cycle. And this should be the time when things start to quieten down, when it gets a little less roller coaster-like for us. You know, that second puberty is coming to an end. But unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that if you do not transition effectively from perimenopause into menopause, you can still be experiencing perimenopausal symptoms 6 years after the day that you are officially graduated into menopause. So please, if there was ever a time in your life to take care of yourself, as said by the beautiful Dr. Laura Brydon, please do it now. I'm going to give you some great tips on how to do that. All right, so women in their 40s and 50s, this is a unique and challenging journey in your life phase, no doubt about it. There is also a massive educational gap in our public healthcare sector. I have got gorgeous GPs and friends of mine that are GPs that work alongside me and collaborate with me in the clinic. And they themselves tell you, and your GP will tell you, if you ask them, that they didn't study perimenopause in med school. They're lucky if they did an 8-hour lecture on menopause. So when a 35-year-old or a 45-year-old woman goes into a primary healthcare provider who has not studied perimenopause, they often come out feeling quite disillusioned because they're often told that they're too young to be experiencing these symptoms. Now, I think the confusion comes in where the doctor's actually talking about menopause and the patient is actually presenting with perimenopausal symptoms. So there is a mismatch of education and information. So there's a misunderstanding and there's quite often a dismissal, which is really unfortunate because women are often left feeling like it's all in their head or like they're going crazy. So I'm here to tell you that you're not going crazy. This is real and your symptoms are real. So there's limited public healthcare solutions as well, and they're quite often lots of one-size-fits-all approaches that don't tend to work for lots of women. I truly believe in an individualized precision medical approach. I would not want to be treated in a one-size-fits-all way, and neither should you. We shouldn't stand for this. We need a high level of care, particularly over the age of 35. And I'm not saying we don't need a high level of care at any other time in our lives, but honestly, during this so your brain is transitioning, your nervous system is coming online, your immune system is transitioning. It is so important to take care of yourself. So many women come in and go, Dr. Holland, I'm absolutely losing it. Like number one, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't recognize myself. My husband's giving me the side eye. The kids are like, Mom, you're turning into Dragon Woman. Some mums actually have really funny stories to tell about their kids and this mum aggro state or this relationship aggro, right? It's common to feel overwhelmed due to this biochemical metabolic change in your body. So absolutely, just know that this is a roller coaster. So quite often women are, feeling this like not quite right. They're going to see their doctor. They don't get the care that they require. And then they're left sort of going like, what do I do next, right? Like, what do I do next? I'm going nuts. So I'm here to tell you that this isn't you. This is a biochemical change. It is a biochemical transition, and it's a really tricky one that needs particular care, but it doesn't necessarily have to be complex. So, of course, we need to sleep. We need our energy to be online. We need our diet and exercise to be online like never before. And this is not a time to set the alarm at 5 a.m., get the cat of nine tails out and start running around the park because you've put on this additional weight. This is a time where you honestly need to sleep yourself slim, right? You need to sleep your nervous system back into a state of peace and quiet. We need to be in a peaceful nervous system state. The message that you need to send to your biochemistry is, I am safe and all is well. Cortisol is a huge one at this point in time due to a circadian rhythm disruption. We know for a fact that in perimenopause, Dr. Stacey Sims, the gorgeous Dr. Stacey Sims, this is her book, Next Level, highly recommended for all of my athletes out there. She is incredible. Dr. Stacey Sims taught us that we really need to look after our cortisol. We need to look after our blood sugar. We need to look after our progesterone. And she absolutely hammers home the message about protein, and we'll get there. You're frustrated. Of course you're frustrated. Honestly, I love men. I have beautiful men in my life. I have a gorgeous boy who's almost 18. I've met the love of my life. I married him a couple of weeks ago. I tell you what, 2024 has been a year already. But I'm here to tell you that if men experience perimenopause, we would have a payment plan, we would have some sort of subsidy, and we would have a public holiday. There is no doubt about it in my mind. We need to balance out this testosterone advantage. And that is something that is definitely there. There's a testosterone advantage in the bedroom, in the kitchen, and in the boardroom. We need to learn how to take care of ourselves metabolically in order to transition successfully and make sure that women during this phase don't drop out, that we actually do lean in, that we hold on to the brain power and the metabolic power and the energy that we so desperately need. So, of course, during this time in your life, you might be, 45, 48, you might be the expert in your field. You might have been doing this for 24 years by now. You really do have this opportunity to lean in, but we also have a complex social dynamic. So that brings me to the point that health is bio-psycho-social. Your biology impacts your psychology, which impacts your social experience, right? So we've got these demanding roles. We're mothers, we're partners, we're executives, we're at the top of our field, we're experts in our field, and at the same time, we've got aging parents, and we're going through second puberty. No wonder we're feeling overwhelmed. Not only are we juggling, but we also don't have the same resilience. We have lost the capacity to handle stress in a way that we once did before. Now, that is twofold. It's actually manyfold, but the main thing is we're no longer as... Estrogen makes us extremely like estrogen makes us really accommodating, right? So we can accommodate almost anything with high estrogen levels during our fertile years. And that is when we're meant to be accommodating. We've got these young children, we've got these families, we've got jobs. We really do need to accommodate for all the needs. But as the estrogen starts to roller coaster and then dip down, we're just a tad less accommodating, So we've got these aging parents, these careers, we're overwhelmed, we're a tad less accommodating, and we also have extremely high cortisol levels. So I'm here to tell you that this is a bit of a bad mocktail. We've got these body shifts, right? We haven't changed the way we're eating. We haven't changed the way we're moving. We haven't changed the way, we might have changed the way we're sleeping because of the biochemical pathways, but we haven't really changed the way we're eating, and we haven't really changed the way we're moving. And suddenly we have this additional belly fat just below the belly button and just under the arms. So now this is the insulin resistance that we're so biochemically predisposed to at this point in time as well. So we need to make sure that we become metabolically flexible to thrive through this transition. So no wonder we're confused. No wonder, yeah. And we're also confused and we're also a little peeved by the ineffective treatments that we're offered. I'm here to tell you that the birth control pill and that estrogen alone and a sleeping pill or an anti-anxiety or an antidepressant drug isn't supporting perimenopause. And it isn't supporting the signs and symptoms that you're having per se, okay? So this is not a deficiency in an antidepressant or a deficiency in a sleeping pill. This is a neuroendocrine, so brain, hormonal, immunological transition state. We need to support our brains appropriately. We need to support our hormones appropriately, and we need to support our immune systems. You cannot sleep. This is one of the things that goes out first. So progesterone starts to leave the scene. Now, this might be a little bit, there are lots of conflicting voices out on social media at the moment. And I know that perimenopause has become a big topic, or perhaps menopause. And I know that there's this really huge push for this one-size-fits-all approach that I do not agree with. So I know that I am sticking my neck out by saying this, but I'm here to say that I honestly believe that an individualized precision medicine approach is the best model of care for perimenopausal women. And I'm also here to say that we really need to focus more on progesterone for perimenopause. In perimenopause, progesterone is the hormone that leaves the scene first. Let me describe a little bit about progesterone for you from this perspective. And there are lots of different angles that you can have a look at this from. But listen to this for just a moment. If you and I and progesterone went out for a cup of tea, let's just say I'm progesterone, and let's say we've gone out with estrogen for a cup of tea. Estrogen is hot and she is moody and she slams the door on the way out and she doesn't even ask us how we are. So you look at me after we've gone out for a cup of tea and you say to me, I don't even know why we catch up with her anymore. She's so self-centered. She doesn't even ask about us, right? Progesterone is cool. She's calm. She's collected. She is like the best sisterhood you have ever experienced. She has got your back. She's fat in the right places. Progesterone is moist, right? Progesterone gives you those beautiful cheeks. Progesterone gives you that gorgeous hourglass shape. So if progesterone is the hormone that leaves the scene first, why wouldn't we focus on her to begin with? For women over the age of 35, why would we just automatically go to a one-size-fits-all estrogen approach? I'm really open to your thoughts here. You can't sleep because progesterone is most likely deficient, right? Progesterone helps us sleep. We can also experience a melatonin deficiency because we're not producing enough serotonin or the feel-good hormone. As we know, our gastrointestinal tract and our gut microbiome goes out in perimenopause. Like I said, the beautiful Stacey Sims brought that in Next Level, and her other book, I think it was called Raw. She spoke so much about that. The glucose roller coaster. So, of course, we've got the glucose goddess in her other book, The Glucose Revolution, talking about the fact that we really need to focus on glucose, right? I've read all of these books so that you don't have to. Now, nervous system dysregulation. We really need to focus on our parasympathetic nervous system. Our parasympathetic nervous system is that nervous system that brings us a sense of peace. Whatever you do in perimenopause, please use the neuro-linguistic programming that you have. I am at peace, all is well, things are good. Ground yourself, take your shoes off, go for a walk, take magnesium, support your nervous system, get into bed early, make sure that you're not looking at those screens 2 hours before bedtime. Try to wake with the sunrise and go to sleep with the sunset, or at least start winding down after sunset. We really do need to balance our nervous systems. We can't sleep because we have mineral and nutrient deficiencies. We have blood glucose dysregulation. Keep in mind that if we've had that frantic day and we're perimenopausal and we're already in a sympathetic dominant state, so we have so much cortisol flooding the frontal lobe of our brains, right? When cortisol is high, your body thinks that you are either running from the tiger, you're running from your life, or you are fighting for your life. It is really tricky to bring that cortisol down at the right time at the end of the day if you have literally been fighting for your life or running for your life all day long. And then I'm here to tell you that that high cortisol flooding the frontal lobe of the brain increases glucose, increases blood glucose, and your body becomes extremely inflamed. And that's when you find yourself in this insulin resistant state because you're already predetermined for this in perimenopause. There's this predetermined transition towards an insulin resistant state, which we actually need to push against. And I'm going to show you how. So that blood glucose dysregulation, that high cortisol, that inflammation. So the next thing that happens is that the biochemical messaging that your body is receiving is that you are inflamed and hurt. So your body doesn't know the difference between inflammation due to chronic stress or inflammation due to eating highly processed food and you actually being attacked by that tiger. So what your body starts to do is it starts to shut down your systems, including your thyroid, so that the messages that you're sending it is that you've been attacked by the tiger because you've got such a high inflammation, you've got high cortisol. So your body actually thinks that it needs to lie in the cave and rest and restore and heal itself. So no wonder you feel like you're burnt out, right? We need to tame that stress hormone. And of course, excessive stimulant intake is not going to help. Your brain in perimenopause needs you to be very, very kind to it. And I'm here to tell you that even if you were to decrease your alcohol intake or just go alcohol-free for a few months, you may actually be able to bring your vitality back online in a way that would serve you so well during this transition. Your brain needs to clean itself at night. If you are not allowing the cleanup system or the lymphatic system to clean your brain at night, that's when you're also going to start to experience more of these brain glitches, this sort of foggy, this brain fog, this not being able to think, this losing this word. You know, that is a real sign of perimenopause as well, that like brain glitch. You just can't think of the word, you just lost the word. You know, there are lots of different symptoms that can happen during this time too. But I mean, for a bit of fun, we can talk about all the symptoms. You know, there are so many. There's certain websites out there that talk about the fact that there are like 100 perimenopausal symptoms. I'm a real, you know, data and science geek. I'm a practitioner of environmental and nutritional medicine, a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine with a double degree in acupuncture and herbal med. I'm a naturopath. I'm a functional medical pracky. I'm a health and wellness coach. Actually, I've been nominated as Health and Wellness Coach of the Decade by the beautiful You Life Coaching Academy. So I absolutely love the data. So when it comes to those perimenopausal symptoms, I'd like to stick to Geraldine Pryor's 9. And she talks about us needing to have 3 of those 9 symptoms to be officially in peri. But perimenopause can also come with some strange things. Has anybody here experienced the phantom smells? Hands up. I experienced loads of phantom smells, particularly burning toast, and the other was cigarette smoke. I thought I was going crazy for a while. I was like, where are all these people smoking? Until one day I looked at my partner and I said, you know what, babe, I don't actually think that, I think this is a phantom smell. The phantom smells, the dry, itchy ears, the itchy skin, that crawling sensation. There's so many different signs and symptoms. Yes, Kelly, she goes, yes. Absolutely. And, you know, you can't think straight in peri. Look, your brain loves smoke is a common one. Yeah, absolutely. Your brain absolutely loves fat as fuel. So this is the time that you teach yourself to become metabolically flexible. Most of our lives, we've all burned glucose. I really started to notice a shift in my weight in my early 40s. And that's when I really started to take on board the ideas of time-restricted eating or an intermittent fast. But in my clinic, I actually don't do fasting like a man. Like my gorgeous colleague, Dr. Mindy Pelz, talks about fasting like a woman. Well, I take it a step further and I teach supported intermittent fasting so that we make sure that we're getting that fiber and we're getting that fat, so that our brains can start to go, oh, what is this? Great, excellent. First thing in the morning, I'm getting my fiber and my fat, potentially a little protein. If you're able to extend your fast with protein. We know that lots of women are actually able to extend their fasts with a little bit of protein and not necessarily break the beautiful benefits that we do get from an overnight fast, or just extending that a little bit. But bringing your brain back online with fat is a beautiful tool in perimenopause. So this is one of the things that can help you think straight again. So you can't think straight. Progesterone deficiency and the fluctuating estrogen. Honestly, let me say it again because it is so true and is so powerful. There has never been a time in your life where you have been more inflamed with less energy. Enter the energy crisis. It's actually a brain crisis, but it's a body crisis too. So don't forget, it's neuro, it's brain, endo, hormonal, and immuno. So your immune system is compromised as well. Progesterone actually modulates the immune system, and she modulates estrogen. So in my opinion, she is the first hormone that we should be focusing on in perimenopause, along with the dietary and lifestyle modifications. Look, always food first, always food first. Food first, then beautiful plant-based botanical, nutraceutical, psychobiotic medicine, and then an individualized approach to body identical or bioidentical hormone therapy, starting with progesterone first if you are perimenopausal. And I'm also here to say that I don't think it's a good idea to give any woman hormones unless you test first. And I know that not everybody believes that. I think it's really interesting that the guidelines from the Endocrinology Society say the following. Tell me what you think of this. This is exactly how they read. Not, don't quote me, but the message is this. A man comes to you and he wants hormone therapy. The guidelines say test, give hormone therapy, and monitor through testing. A trans person comes to you and wants hormone therapy. The guidelines say test, give hormone therapy, and monitor through testing. A woman comes to you and she asks for hormone therapy. The guidelines say give hormone therapy, do not test. So, there's never been a time in your life where you have been more inflamed with less energy, and your brain and your immune system and your hormones are going through a very important transition. This is your second puberty, and certain guidelines and certain practitioners don't think that it's a good idea for us to test or have a baseline. Now, I know that I want to know what my baseline is, and all of my patients trust me with theirs because I test first. There's no guessing in my clinic. There's absolutely no guessing. Like I said, food first. Yeah, and less support. I completely agree. Yeah, less support. It's, no wonder we're going nuts, right? So it's food first, dietary and lifestyle modifications, the tips and tricks to bring your metabolism and your brain and your hormones and your immune system back online. Sympathetic nervous system activation, like that gorgeous grounding I was talking about before, the breathing. Honestly, nap. If you are tired, please allow yourself to nap. One of my patients told me that she was hiding her afternoon naps from her husband because she felt guilty about them. Enter the testosterone advantage. I know that, there are some men who struggle through andropause, which is the male version of perimenopause or menopause, but most men can go to the gym, smash it out, bring their food online, and they're good. Their hormones are much easier. They are so much easier to treat. They've got like an on-off switch, and we've got like 35,000 buttons, some going up, some going down, some going left, some going right. So we've got so much more to get right. I mean, even in the Dutch test alone, it's 19 pages of technical data all about your hormones. You see your progesterone, both kinds, A and B, your 3 different estrogens, 3 different pathways. Then you see the androgens, you see testosterone, etinocanalone, androsterone, you see DHEA, you see cortisol, you see melatonin. It's complex. And we actually need to know what our dopamine levels are doing, and we also need to know what our oxytocin is doing. Oxytocin is so important in perimenopause. Please hug your children and hug your dogs. All right, so sympathetic nervous system activation, and of course you can't think straight if you've got cortisol flooding the frontal lobe of your brain. So this is where we often see a high ACE score or an adverse childhood event come in to really, cause havoc in this transitional state for perimenopausal women. The research does show that women with a higher ACE score, an adverse childhood event, I've actually even go as far as to say women that have had very, very stressful experiences in their early 20s and 30s, those that have gone through divorce or the loss of a parent or a child or a family dog. Honestly, big T and little t trauma comes home to tap us on the shoulder during perimenopause. So this is such an important time to take care of yourself and make sure that you're speaking to a trauma-informed doctor, coach, you name it. So the energy crisis and the glucose utilization, with progesterone going MIA and estrogen fluctuating, like huge fluctuations, massive fluctuations, high 1 month, low the next. Your brain doesn't use glucose in a way that it once did before. So no wonder you enter this energy crisis. And that right there is that reason for that insulin resistance, that predisposition to that insulin resistance. That's why it is so important for us to become metabolically flexible and to learn to burn fat as fuel. So yes, we're in a fat storage versus a fat burn state, which also doesn't allow us to access that fuel from our food, leaves us feeling a bit groggy, leaves us with some skin tags. It leaves us with some thick yellow skin underneath the soles of our feet if we're not getting those mani-pedis regularly. It leaves us with craving sweet foods after eating. And of course, nutrient absorption and diet is so important in order for your brain to be able to think straight. And then again, we know that the gut and the microbiome go out in perimenopause. So if there was ever a time to bring your digestion and your gastrointestinal tract online, it would be now. You're exhausted. Of course you're exhausted. You can't sleep. You can't achieve deep sleep. You can't stay asleep. Some women, of course, and I have been, guilty of this myself. By the end of the day, and you've just taken care of everybody else's needs, have you ever found yourself on the couch with a glass of wine, just wanting to have some space, just wanting to have some time just to yourself, So nighttime activity can affect our sleep, and of course, alcohol. Like, please, whatever you do, try to decrease your alcohol. Your brain in perimenopause doesn't like it. And I know this isn't a fun suggestion, and I know that this isn't like, hey, let's go and have margaritas on the beach. But this isn't the time to do that. If you want to transition successfully, and I'm not here to say that I'm alcohol-free, I do drink, but honestly, the nights that I do, the data is definitely there. I've got an Oura ring. My sleep is greatly affected by that margarita. So it really has to be worth it. And it really has to be very far and few between. Otherwise, my brain just doesn't function in a way that it should, so that it can be, operating on all cylinders. And honestly, I just don't have time for a hangover anymore. So the energy crisis, that increased inflammation, the pain, the insulin resistance, the metabolic syndrome, or the syndrome X is what it's called. Actually, I'll give her a bit of a plug. Laura Bryden's got a new book coming out talking about metabolic health in perimenopausal women, or in women, I think, over the age of 40. I'm not sure exactly. But I'm really looking forward to her book. And now, Dr. Sarah Godfrey has got a book, I think it's actually out, called The Autoimmune Cure. And this is another thing that I see in clinics so often. Because progesterone is going MIA and she modulates the immune system, so many women over the age of 35 are being diagnosed with these autoimmune conditions, the lupus, the rheumatoid arthritis, the MS, the fibromyalgia. We really need to bring these autoimmune conditions in line. And this is a bit of a controversial one, but I so often see women with endometriosis responding extremely well to the same protocols that you see women with autoimmune responses responding to. So in my clinic, I really do look at endometriosis as a bit of an autoimmune condition. Your sympathetic nervous system activation, supporting the exhaustion, constant stress response, the immune system impact, and chronic stress. And we discussed some of the reasons for that. And you're irritable, right, in perimenopause. Of course you are. Of course you are. And you can't lose weight. This is a big one. But you know what? And I really appreciate this. When women come into the clinic, they're quite often, they're pretty much at the end of their tether, and they were like, I should have been here yesterday, right? But when they come in and they talk about the fact that they've got either 10 to 20 to 30 kilograms to lose, honestly, one of the first things that they say to me is they go, yep, okay, look, Dr. Holland, this is obvious. You know, you can see I've got this middle banding, I've got all this weight to lose, but I actually feel so shocking. My energy levels are so low. I feel so smashed that I really don't want to focus on the weight first. And I'm actually here to tell you that my approach is not that either. I always focus on your vitality first. If we bring your vitality online, if we support your hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, ovarian axis, focus on your gut and make sure that your thyroid is online, and we focus on getting you as vital as we possibly can, the weight loss is a beautiful side effect of us focusing on your vitality. And I am so sick and tired of these 20-something-year-old, personal trainers jumping around the internet telling midlife women how to lose weight. Like, great, good on you, that's fantastic. I'm here to tell you that the weight loss is the easy bit. That is the easy bit. Sustainable weight loss that supports your microbiome, your gut, your hormones, and your metabolism, and sustains the fact that that weight stays off for good, right? That's the tough bit. You balance and recolonize your microbiome and your gut. Then you rebalance your hormones and you get them into a beautiful sync, right? And then you reclaim your metabolic health for good so that you never have to lose that 10, 20, or 30 kilograms again. That's the tough bit. Losing 10 kilograms, losing 20 kilograms, losing 30 kilograms on a calorie deficit where you're also going to lose muscle mass and induce sarcopenia and osteoporosis and rheumatoid arthritis, and you're going to completely destroy your joints in the process because you're not nourishing them with the appropriate food and the appropriate calories. You're not taking in the beautiful nutraceutical medicines that your body and your joints and your brain and your muscles so desperately need. Sure. Who wants to lose that same 10 kilograms for the rest of their life every single summer? No, thank you. Absolutely no, thank you. So yes, midlife stress does impact that weight piece. The hormonal changes absolutely impact that weight piece. Like I said to you, progesterone modulates the immune system. She also modulates estrogen. So quite often when we have that estrogen excess presentation, we have that excess tire, we have issues with digestion, issues with detoxification. We need to look at the liver, the large intestine, the gastrointestinal tract. We need to make sure that you're detoxifying beautifully. We need to make sure that your digestion is online. We need to make sure that there's no bloating, no gas, no flatulence, no burping, no reflux. We need to make sure that you've got enough digestive capacity. We need to make sure that you do not lose that muscle mass. We have got to hold on to our muscle mass. It is imperative. Sarcopenia is osteoporosis of the muscles. It is very, very dangerous. Honestly, if you took anything away from this talk today, please make sure to focus on your protein and lift heavy things. Sleep quality, you've got to sleep yourself skinny. We have absolutely got to bring down cortisol, and we've absolutely got to bring down blood glucose so that we can be living in this body where we feel comfortable in our own skin. Inflammation is a huge issue for weight loss. Like I said before, if you're always running from the tiger or you're fighting the tiger, the biochemical messaging to your body is that you are inflamed. When your body thinks that you are inflamed, listen to this carefully. It doesn't know the difference between you being attacked by a tiger and you having to lie in the cave by yourself and repair. So your body is so clever, it slows down your metabolism to allow you to do that. But the inflammation is actually coming from stress, or it's coming from bad processed food, and your body has shut down your metabolism in order to protect you. So really, you need to be kind and gentle and bring your parasympathetic nervous system back online so that you can gently decrease that inflammation, focus on your vitality, repair your gastrointestinal tract, rebalance your hormones, and reclaim your metabolic health for good so that you can be as vital as you possibly can, bring your energy levels online, bring your thyroid online, bring your hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis online, and then the weight loss falls away as a beautiful side effect. How about that? That sounds much better to me. And of course, no deprivation. You have to eat to satiety. You need to be eating a beautiful, nutrient-dense, rich blood supply. I'm talking the rainbow. I'm talking the green leafy vegetables. I'm talking enough protein, at least a palm size, if not 2 palm sizes of protein per meal per day. You have no patience. Yeah, I hear these beautiful, beautiful perimenopausal women in my clinic all of the time going, oh my God, I'm flying off the handle. And then I'm so embarrassed and I feel so guilty afterwards. It's like that little Roald Dahl book. I don't know if you read that. You know that book where he talks about this little girl that just sees red? That's what I think about when the beautiful women in my clinic just go, oh my God, I feel so embarrassed. I fly off the handle and then I feel awful about it afterwards. My poor husband, my poor children. And, honestly, yes, I understand that. But I'm also here to say that health is biopsychosocial. Your biology is putting you through a pretty crazy transition, a second puberty. So your biochemistry is impacting your psychology, is impacting your social experience. So I think education is key. Speak to your husband. Tell him what you're going through. Tell your children. I know that I sometimes come in and I'll let my son know. I go, baby, no, I'm not fit for human consumption tonight. Or I have like 5% left in the tank and that's it. Mum's done. She's been in clinic all day. Can we answer these questions in the morning? I think it's really important. We need extra care from the people around us and most importantly from ourselves. This International Women's Day talks about the fact that we need to invest in women. And I'm actually here to tell you that women need to start getting comfortable investing in themselves. I remember, thinking that functional medicine and botanical medicine and a beautiful prescription was a luxury. And now, honestly, I do understand that it is a luxury and I do understand it is expensive to take care of yourself in a proactive way. But the cost of chronic disease and illness is much, much higher. It is much higher. Please stop. Please take care of yourself. Please eat appropriately. Please prioritize sleep. Please get morning sunlight into your eyes so that you can balance your circadian rhythm, so that you can make sure that you've got a beautiful cortisol awakening response. You don't recognize yourself anymore. This one goes into that, weight loss piece. And like I said to you before, we focus on your vitality and the weight loss falls off as a beautiful side effect. But I understand how tricky this is. And I know that it is so difficult to explain to women who really do feel like they can't access that joy anymore, or when they really do feel like they just feel smashed on waking and it feels hopeless. Honestly, in the clinic, I try to get a clinical outcome really quickly. I try to use that beautiful plant-based botanical nutraceutical medicine to just get you to the top of that mountain pretty quick so that you can start to experience a new biochemical energy level. And as soon as women do that, they go, oh, okay, I actually feel better. Like as soon as you have a little bit more in the tank, you can start to implement the other changes that you need. It isn't actually that difficult once you start to feel good. But I understand that it can feel overwhelming and hopeless and inaccessible when you feel so blah. You're at the end of the tether. I've heard this many times, and no wonder, right? Intense physical changes, chronic discomfort, the mood fluctuations can be debilitating. 1 minute you feel okay and the next minute you're absolutely wiped out. Women often tell me that they don't commit to things or don't commit to that promotion because they just can't trust that their bodies can do it. I'm here to tell you that we can. We can support our transitioning microbiome, hormones, and metabolism so that we can stay in the game, so that we can go for that promotion, so that we can start dating again, so that we can live the life that we want to. The cognitive challenges are really there. Your brain is recalibrating. This is a recalibration. Your brain absolutely loves fat as fuel. Please give your gastrointestinal tract the love that it needs. Please give your brain the love that it needs. Reduce or significantly reduce your alcohol intake. Shifting roles and identities, getting to the point in time where our fertile years are coming to an end and, potentially we're empty nesters or we're on our way there. These shifting roles can bring a lot of grief and they can bring a lot of change about. So, not only do we have the biochemical, but we've got the psycho-emotional and psychological changes going on as well as our social experience and our social environment. We're reevaluating our identity. there is a lack of open dialogue around this. And I'd also like to say that this is a beautiful invitation. This is such a beautiful wake-up call and a beautiful invitation to start to take care of yourself. And I really don't like to begin with, social media wanted to start to bring attention to perimenopause and menopause. So, before it wasn't talked about at all. And then there was this sort of explosion of attention, and there are lots of big companies trying to sell us lots of different things. And there's lots of doom and gloom in this space. But I'm also here to tell you that there is so much waiting for us on the other side if we just take care of ourselves now and transition successfully. I want to create an incredibly beautiful, vital community of successfully transitioning women so we can transition through peri into menopause and have the time of our lives. That's basically what I want, because there's also a freedom that comes with this. There's a freedom, and I want to invite you to take care of yourself. Misinformation and myth, there's lots of that out there. Unsatisfactory medical support from a lot of the primary healthcare providers, unfortunately. Isolation and juggling multiple responsibility. So feeling like there's no hope is actually quite common, but I'm here to tell you that we can turn this around. So let's reclaim ourselves for good. Let's feel as vibrant as we possibly can in perimenopause and transition successfully. I promise you that you will have an evidence-based, clinically proven, science-backed roadmap to restore yourself for good and feel the best you ever have. And it goes something like this. The solution is actually simple. Please have a look at the beautiful words from others who have come before you on my website, www.thehollandclinic.com. Honestly, I have been sitting with the information and the data and the research and the medicine, and I have been sitting with the women in my clinic for the last 24 years in Melbourne, Australia. And it is these women that I owe my success to, because they have actually been the ones who have shown me exactly what works and what doesn't. Treatment and coaching perfected over the last 24 years in a real clinic in Melbourne, Australia. Let's talk about the science-backed roadmap I want to give you today. There is a hierarchy to healing. Now, I understand that a lot of, let's just say, younger practitioners that perhaps don't have as much experience want to suddenly dive in and do all of the amazing hormonal work that perimenopausal women need so desperately. But I'm here to tell you that if you do that cherry on top hormonal work first, I have seen so many women come into my clinic with a beautiful hormonal prescription, right? It's usually body identical. They've gone to a functional medical practitioner. Even if they've come in with their normal sort of HRT prescriptions, they come in and they go, Dr. Holland, the silver bullet just didn't work for me. So often we find that they haven't actually started the repair work according to the hierarchy of healing. So you can't just paint the house or get an interior designer in when the entire house needs restumping, right? So we need to restump first. Like I said to you before, Dr. Stacey Sims showed us that we really need to focus on the protein first, and that the microbiome goes out in perimenopause. My dogs don't like it when anybody comes to the door. So they're just in protection mode. Bear with me. We'll just get something at the front door and we'll all be good. So we have to repair first. We need to repair the gut, the immune system, your sleep, your energy, and your metabolism. We need to focus on making sure that your liver, your large intestine, your gastrointestinal tract is working beautifully. Like I said before, no bloating, no constipation, no trigger foods. I have so many women coming in going, I just don't know what to eat anymore. Like, firstly, I'm putting on all this weight. And then secondly, sometimes I eat A and I get, symptom X, and sometimes it's okay and sometimes it's not. A full elimination and reintroduction diet to know what your trigger foods are, particularly if you experience autoimmune conditions, is absolutely life-changing. But if you don't need to go that far, I'm here to tell you that you have to focus on your gut first. So you need to repair, you need to heal, seal, and repair your gastrointestinal tract. Alessio Fasano also showed us, or brought the research to the forefront of the fact that gluten really does create a leaky gut presentation, and this can exacerbate autoimmune conditions in perimenopause. So we really do need to focus on trigger foods. We need to repair that gut, and then we need to rebalance those hormones. And like I said, we really need to look at progesterone first, most likely, right? But if you're doing a blood test, you really need to do your blood test on day 2 of your cycle. And what you need to test on day 2 is estradiol, sex hormone binding globulin, testosterone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, estradiol on day 2. And then progesterone needs to be tested on day 19. And we basically know where these hormones need to be between day 2 and day 19 of a perimenopausal cycle. And if not, the Dutch test is my absolutely favorite gold standard hormonal test for women worldwide. And if you do not know where you are at in your cycle, I would highly recommend doing a Dutch test over a month period so we can track to see exactly where your progesterone and your estrogen is at. So we need to repair that gut first so that those beautiful hormones will work. And for those women that have come into my clinic with a gorgeous prescription that has never worked for them, once they have focused on their gastrointestinal tract, their hormonal prescriptions come online like no tomorrow. So if you're one of those people thinking, I don't know why their body identical hormones didn't work for me, there may be something else at play. And then, of course, you need to reclaim your metabolic health for good. So that 10, 20, 30 kilograms that you lose whilst repairing your gut and rebalancing your hormones, in Reclaim, you eat to keep insulin low for good so that you can reclaim your metabolic health for good and you never have to lose that 10, 20, or 30 kilograms ever again. And move in a way that you love. Move in a way that's sustainable, Don't do things you don't love. Life is too short. So the hierarchy of healing for sustained change is repair your gut and your microbiome, rebalance your hormones, and reclaim metabolic health and flexibility for good. Health is biological, psycho-emotional, and social, right? So it's bio, psycho, social, and perimenopause is a neuro-immuno-endocrine transition state. And this does end. We get to the peaceful menopause at the end. I use something called the Power Plan in my clinic. I use a power cuppa in the morning to get you into a fat burn and out of a fat store state, to bring on your brain with fat as fuel, with fiber as fuel. We start to recolonize that microbiome first thing in the morning. We get that fat into your brain. We get that protein in so that you start to synthesize, do protein muscle synthesis after you've gone to your 6 a.m. Pilates class, because your vitality's come online and we've made sure that your hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, ovarian axis with the gut in the middle, as well as your thyroid, is absolutely optimized. And I'm here to tell you that you need appropriate investigation in perimenopause. You need a full blood profile. You need to test fasting insulin, your HbA1c, and you need to test a full thyroid panel. Just testing TSH is not good enough. I have seen so many TSHs in range, and then the reverse T3 or the thyroid antibodies are completely off the charts. So please, you need a full thyroid panel. So you've got your power cuppa, you find yourself in a fat burn and out of a fat store state. You start to shift that weight, your energy levels come back online, your brain comes online, you can start to think beautifully again. We support your fast. We do a beautiful time-restricted fast overnight. You don't necessarily have to fast like a man. You don't have to do long, strict fasting regimes. In fact, you can really sleep through most of your fast and maximum do a 16-8. So fasting for a 16-hour period, 8 hours of an eating window. But you don't actually have to fast at all if that doesn't suit your biochemistry to begin with. But I'm also here to tell you that if you can't go without food for an extended period of time, that is a sign that you are not metabolically flexible. So we really want to get you metabolically flexible. A food protocol. We don't all respond to the same foods in the same way. I think Dr. Sarah Godfrey talks about the fact that there is hardly anything that is more misunderstood than women, food, and hormones. We need an individualized, precision medicine-based food protocol just for you. You need to work out what your fantastic foods are, the foods that make you feel incredible, the foods that work for your biochemistry, and stay away from those sometimes foods so that you only have them when you decide to. And it's an educated decision. You know what makes you feel fantastic. You know what makes you feel blah. Diaries and journals. It is so important to track and see what it is that makes you feel a certain way. So, for example, doing a full elimination and a reintroduction diet can be absolutely life-changing. Tracking to see which foods make you feel incredible and which foods make you feel blah. And then, of course, wearables are fantastic. My husband bought me a Aura ring for Christmas, and I absolutely love it. It is incredible. You can't hide from the data. Botanical, nutraceutical, and psychobiotic medicine can make this all feel so much more graceful. We can help with certain probiotics to recolonize the gastrointestinal tract, to increase your energy levels, to feed your microbiome, to feed your look, I just lost the word. That's perimenopausal. Your mitochondria. We've got to bring your mitochondria back online. We need to get you burning that energy level. We need to bring your thyroid back online. We need to bring that beautiful parasympathetic nervous system back online. And we might need to support your sleep with some plant-based melatonin, some functional foods that can support your gut, support you with protein muscle synthesis, and get you back into a beautifully vital state. So we've got the hierarchy of healing and the power plan. So powerful, so simple, individualized, precision-based medicine. So no more losing it, no more frustration, no more insomnia, no more confusion or exhaustion or irritability or weight gain. No more impatience, no more not recognizing yourself. It is time to turn this ship around, right? No more being at the end of your tether and no more feeling like there's no hope. Done in the right order with the right foods and the right beautiful botanical medicine. Follow this approach so that you have science on your side. Create a graceful experience of perimenopause for yourself, and please make sure that you transition successfully, because menopause is like, it could be a 30-year experience. We want to transition beautifully so that we can get to the other side and have an incredible time of it. As I said to you before, I'm a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine with a double degree in acupuncture and herbal med. I'm a functional medical pracky. I'm an environmental and nutritional practitioner. I'm a health and wellness coach, and I'm absolutely here for it. I love the perimenopausal space. My son is in year 12 this year. I did write the first draft of my book last year, and I will be continuing that next year. I will have a book that's going to come out. I will be here to show you exactly what to do, how to do it, and why to do it. And in the meantime, if you need support of any kind, if you want to have a chat, please book a free clarity call with me. You can find them through my Instagram link. You can find them on my website, www.thehollandclinic.com. I'm Dr. Kirstey Holland, and I thank you so much for your time. If you've been live with me on my live call and you can see the slides, there's a little scan option there to book a free clarity call with me. If you're with me here and you're an Instagram, InstaFam, please book your free clarity call through Instagram. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you here today. Shoot through your questions. I'm going to do lives on a regular basis, and I will answer your questions for you online. The only other thing that I thought I might do today is, as I promised to begin with, it is endometriosis month. I'd like to talk a little bit about endometriosis and the natural mechanisms that can bring this chronic disease or illness back online for you. So if you're somebody that experiences endometriosis, that knows somebody with endometriosis and wants to know more, that's something else I can help you with. I treat women in my clinic with polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, and perimenopause. I was a general practitioner for many, many years. I'm in my third decade of clinical practice, so, I guess you can tell I love it. I do. If I'm not with my family, I'm with my patients, so it's my happy place. So let's just talk a little bit about endometriosis now. What is endometriosis? I'll just read this to make sure that it comes out properly. Endometriosis is an estrogen-dependent gynecological disorder defined as the growth of endometrial stromal cells and glands at extrauterine sites. So often the endometrial tissue is found outside of the uterus, right? Endometriotic lesions are more frequently located into the abdominal cavity, although they can also be implanted in distant places. Endometriosis causes extreme pain and other symptoms. So endometriosis has actually been found in the eyeball and the lung. Endometriosis also behaves like rust. So excision surgery or surgery to try to remove endometriosis is actually very, very successful, particularly for women that are trying to fall pregnant. 3 months after the laparoscopy is generally the best time to fall pregnant. But I'm also here to tell you some of the etiological or the causes of endometriosis. So we have a genetic and an epigenetic component or a predisposition. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. We have to support the nervous system. There is a dysbiotic microbiome in endometriosis. We have seen that most patients with endometriosis have a dysbiosis in the gastrointestinal tract, and then there is immune dysregulation. And there's also something called a translocation of the microbial dysbiosis. So quite often we find infection in the endometrial cysts in the body of women with endometriosis. Macrophages and inflammation are also included in the etiology and the things that we need to look at when treating endometriosis. So as suggested by Ramirez, Pavez et al., macrophages are tissue-resistant cells that connect innate and adaptive immunity, playing a key role in maintaining local homeostasis in healthy conditions and being critical in the development and the sustainment of many inflammatory diseases. Macrophages accumulate in the peritoneal cavity of women with endometriosis, but their ability to clear migrated endometrial fragments seems to be inefficient. So most of us experience retrograde bleeding, and in some of us, this causes endometriosis, and in other of us that don't have endo, our immune systems tend to clean up that endometriosis. So it's like, what is going on in the women with endometriosis as opposed to those without, right? So we need to have a look at lipopolysaccharides. We need to have a look at a gluten sensitivity in women with endometriosis. We need to support the immune system with things like zinc. There's also an autoimmune component. We often see in endometriosis other autoimmune-like presentations. So we have hair thinning or the loss of hair. We often see eczema or psoriasis or a Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is a concomitant autoimmune condition and the endo at the same time. So this is a little controversial. The jury is not yet in on the fact that endometriosis is an autoimmune condition, but I'm here to tell you that if you treat it like one, women have incredibly brilliant results. So following a full elimination and reintroduction diet to figure out which foods are triggering the immune response, taking care of the immune system, supporting the nervous system, supporting the gastrointestinal tract for endometriosis is incredibly important. So natural treatments clinically depending on the patient's presentation, of course, because no one woman with endometriosis has the same presentation. So autoimmune paleo protocols work very well for some patients. We need to treat the dysbiosis. We need to support the estrobolome and efficient detoxification of estrogen, because we know that endometriosis is driven by an estrogen excess presentation. We need to heal, seal, and repair the gut. And an elimination diet with a gluten-free, dairy-free, and quite often egg-free for certain women with endometriosis is extremely, extremely supportive. We need to decrease inflammation in a big way. Turmeric and other anti-inflammatories or the pro-resolving mediators that you find in products like SPMs are absolutely brilliant. And then we have seen that Lactobacillus gasseri is really popular for the treatment of the dysbiosis in endometriosis. So that's just a little bit of an introduction. I'll be talking a little bit more about endometriosis down the track as well, but it is Endometriosis Awareness Month. So I thought I'd have a chat about that today, but that's probably enough from me for now. Please book your free clarity call. I so look forward to touching base with you. Have an absolutely incredible day. And thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it. Ta.